Greetings and salutations, my artsy friends. How are you all? I hope that everyone is great. Yikes. I'm trying a new thing today. I have this holder thing on my stand. And so I am hoping that I'll be able to see better and keep up with the comments and everything. So I have a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about first. This week has been huge for me. I launched my website and I cannot tell you how blessed and grateful I am for every single person who just validated my being a working artist and visited my website, purchased my artwork to create your own artwork from. I just love when people create with something I created. I can't tell you how much it tickles me. Anyway, so that was huge, and every single time someone purchases one of my art printables, I can't tell you how much. I know I sound like a broken record, but I really want to see what everybody creates with them. So please do that. The other huge thing that happened this week is that I have been working with a company called Adorn It for quite some time now, and I am drawing 50 state embroidery patterns. I have 18 done, and I am working on the rest right now as we speak. You can, there are 18 on the Adorn It website. The link should be in a post, a couple posts down from here. Please be sure and check them out. So I was thinking, maybe someday we'll do a Facebook Live of stitching. That would be fun and cool. The other thing that I really wanted to talk about, I already have 4 comments. Who's here? Yay! Thanks, Linda Koeman. How are you? Hello, my darling Keely. I'm sure thinking about you today. So I wanted to talk to you a couple of things that are, so I wanted to teach you a couple of cool artsy techniques for you to use with my printables, but I wanted to talk about a couple of other things that you might think about. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, this is Bristol paper. You can get it at all kinds of different, you could get it on Amazon now, you could get it at Michael's or Arizona Art Supply. If you're a local person and you believe in supporting small businesses, which I hope you all do. Bristol paper is really good for coloring with colored pencils. And if you're using Zig clean color real brush markers, they seem to, every medium has its sweet spot, and Bristol is the sweet spot for those Zig clean color markers. So just remember that. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is watercolor paper. So this is the watercolor paper I use when I'm creating cards. Not works of art or anything, but when I'm creating cards. The reason that I love this watercolor paper is that it is thin enough that it could go through your printer, your regular printer, and it also is it kind of has funny properties. And I'll show you. So it has a smooth side and a more textured side. If you print on the smooth side, you're going to get well, let me rephrase that. If you're stamping like regular acrylic stamps or rubber stamps, if you stamp on the smooth side, you're going to get a cleaner stamp. But if you're running it through your inkjet printer, you're going to get a pretty decent. I ran this through my inkjet printer, and I got a pretty decent print. I don't see really any imperfections. The one thing that I will tell you is if you run it through your inkjet printer and you want to use something water-based on it, because it's watercolor paper, you just really need to be careful to not use too much water, because those black lines will bleed just a little bit. So you just need to be careful with that. The way to avoid that is to use a laser printer. The laser printer, I've been just going to Kinko's and taking my own paper and running them through the machine. Hey Mary, I was just talking about this. So I am really looking into purchasing a laser printer, because I'm spending kind of a lot of money at Kinko's. So those are just some things I wanted to talk to you about, the papers. The other paper that I use a lot is Hammermill, and I didn't bring that packaging up here, but it's Hammermill 110 pound Hammermill, and I think it's like color something cardstock, but it's 110 pounds. So that is good for Copic markers and also colored pencils. So a couple of the things that we're going to talk about today are, let's see, one thing I miss since retiring is using, I bet, Keels. That's so funny. I had another friend just tell me that the other day. Oh, something unrelated to today's project is I wanted to talk about, this is the Catherine Pooler Canva journal. That's what I've used as a art journal, just because I liked it, because it has a dot grid base. It's not meant to be an art journal, but you know, I told you, I'll make art on anything. But my friend Susan has 3 of these available for like $18.99, which is so reasonably priced, because I think I spent $26 on mine. So she is located in Edmond, Oklahoma, and she is on Facebook. The name of her store is Paper Arts Edmond. So if you need me to write that down, Paper Arts Edmond, and her name is Susan. She's on Facebook, so if you're watching me, you're on Facebook too. And so if you so please contact her, and I'm sure she will ship out your Canva journal to you if this is something that you are thinking about. Let's see. The other thing, what else did I want to talk about? There's a company called Trinity Stamps. I don't work with any of these companies. I just like them. But Trinity Stamps has some really cool slimline dies. And so I drew my slimline art to fit these slimline dies. So you could look where I just watercolored, and then I wanted to show you some, let's see, some highlighty techniques. So I had a watercolor that I had started painting on. Here we go. So let's fiddle with that. So get one of your printables out, and then I want you to just start watercoloring and just color your entire image, whatever it is. If it's, you can do this on any of the images. I don't want you to feel like you have to use the exact same one I'm using. You can use whatever you want and do a light wash of color over your entire image. And then we'll come back. Okay, how's everybody doing? Hey, Timmy. Did anybody else lose video? Let's see. Uh-oh. It should still be going. Ay, ay, ay. Hey, Lucinda, is the video working? Okay, it is. Okay, so you'll have to excuse me. Every now and again I need to leave because I'm having a terrible allergy attack today, so I have to leave to blow my nose. So I want you to cover one of your images with a really thin, watery layer of color. So remember, we can always add more color. Hey, Heather. We can always add more color. It's harder to take color away. We can sort of take color away, but it's easier to add color. So I want you to take the time now to really just kind of enjoy the process of creating art. And I'm wanting you to, so I'm gonna, this is the Lucinda printable actually. So I'm gonna paint these, the center of this yellow kind of pollinish. I'm using my classic set of Prima watercolors today. I have, you know, I mix and match whatever I'm in the mood for. So remember, I just use that little pouncy painting method. I find that the most forgiving. So we're going to, like I said, you're just going to fill your areas with color. My style of illustrating is quite sketchy, so it's not, it doesn't lend itself to precision. Like nothing in my life is precise. But anyway, because of that, I think that they're easy to paint. So you can let the paint work for you by just doing this pouncing thing, because when you do this pouncing thing, you're gonna naturally have places that are darker and places that are lighter. Do you see what I'm saying? Is that I don't know. Can you see that? How some of them are darker, some of them are lighter. I hope that that's apparent. If not, I will take pictures of this when I'm done, and I will post it on Instagram and Facebook so that you can kind of see what I've created with it. And then you'll see more close up what I'm talking about. Which way is the, where's the camera? I think it's there. There. Now do you see? Like some are dark and some are light. Right? But it's just the paint really organically creating highs and lows in areas that are quite well shaded in my illustration. So you're just gonna let that work for you. The other thing I want you to think about is that once you have that base, let's see, maybe I need to get closer. Once you have that base painted, there, is that better? Worse? I can't tell. Anyway, once you have that base painted, look at the places that you know would be darker and lighter. So, here's what I'm talking about. So I wet my paintbrush and then I dab it off on my paint cloth. And then I'm gonna just take some more of this red and think about the places in a flower that are gonna be naturally darker. Any place where two things meet in that crevice, it's gonna be darker. So we're gonna do that same dab, 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 right? And then we're just gonna work it out, right? Dab, 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 and then we're gonna kind of work it out. Here, dab, 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 and then we're gonna work it out. Hey, Sharon. So then I'm gonna teach you another trick. A way to, let's see, one more area. So like here, you might wanna put a little bit of richer, more saturated color right here, because by doing that, we are creating dimension, right? And if you print it on something that's not watercolor paper, don't worry about it. We're just practicing, because you've bought the printable, so you can print it as many times as you want, right? So now, since this has a very defined edge. Do you see the very defined edge here? Is it bright enough that you can see that? There. Do you see this very defined edge right here? So because we want it to be a more smooth transition, you're just gonna wet your brush, dab it off on your cloth or your paper towel, and then you're just gonna do that same tap, tap, tap. Right? And just tap it out. And tap it out like along this little crease that's in the flower. Tap it out along the edge of that flower. Places where it will naturally be darker. And if you do that, before you know it, your flower is going to have such dimension. Is everyone painting today? I hope. Here's another area. Where we want to soften the edge. Most of the time, I love these little blooms of color But in this case, I really would like to have a little bit of a more smooth transition of color, right? So I just continue to tap, tap, tap. So remember last week when we did Piet Mondrian, and he had the quote about art taking time. I want you to really think about that. I want you to really think about, I guess I shouldn't have my paints over here and my water over here, but oh well. I want you to really think about just taking your time. We're not in a rush. Where are we going during the COVID? No place. We're just gonna get into the meditative, mindful, therapeutic experience that painting and creating can give us. We're not in a rush. We're just taking our time. If you take your time, you'll be so much happier with your results. And your mood just lightens, I'm telling you. Whoops. Oh, I lost you. Where's my comments? Is everybody still there? There we go. I need to buy a new printer too, Lynn, and I'm telling you, I'm thinking really seriously about getting a laser printer. Lauren just got one. I think she got it from Best Buy. Lauren, are you here? I think she got it from Best Buy and she is loving it. So for printables, I think it's kind of worth it. I know that the ink and stuff is you did, Tony. So tell me about that. What do you tell me about which laser printer did you get? And for me, I want it to be able to take some thick paper. Like my, there you go. That's right. That's right. You did pick it up from Best Buy, Lauren. So Tony, which laser printer did you get and why did you choose it? We've been having this discussion for days, haven't we, Lauren? So you'll notice on this flower here, I've already did some of the shading for you with my pointillism. Use that as your guide. Use that as your guide to just keep building color there. And remember that as you can make it a little bit darker and like quite obvious, right? And then we can go back with that tapping with just water on our brush technique and soften those lines. And then we'll have a beautiful transition of color. And then you're gonna have such good dimension and your flower is gonna take on a whole new level of, not realness, but you know what I mean. It's just gonna look so much more dimensional, not flat. Because I'm sure you've done things where you're like, that just looks so flat. And that just has no, it's just not appealing and of interest to your eye. You want your eye to like be pleased at what it's looking at and have it go from one area to another. So once you've got one of your printables covered in paint, so I'm gonna let that dry a little bit where I've done some darker red, and then I'm going to I'm gonna go and paint my leaf now, and then I'll go back and do my wet brush tapping. So I'm just gonna pull some pigment from this little pan of green and add some water to my little palette here. And I'm just gonna tap off some of it so I have a little more brush control. The wetter your brush is, the less brush control you have. So that's kind of something to think about. And I find that if I hold my brush like I hold a pencil, and so I'm holding it down at the base, I find that I have much more control. So I have my first coat of green on there. Now I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna tap off. I'm gonna go back into my pan and just tap the end of my wet brush. And I'm just gonna add some more color. Do you see how that pigment right there, because I'm painting wet on wet, it's just gonna kind of bleed in. And the beauty of that is that the water is kind of doing some of my blending for me, right? But I'm still gonna continue with that tap, tap, tap. I'm gonna go down the veins of the leaf, barely touching, right? I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna come up, dry off my brush. If you happen to have an area where you think you have too much water, you can wash your brush in your water and then dry it off on your towel or your paper towel or your paint cloth, and then you can use that brush to soak up excess paint or liquid. And that is, ooh, it's a thing of beauty. So now I'm just gonna take that wet brush, tap it off, and then I'm gonna come over here and try and start working on softening those lines. So see here, I had a line that was from before. You can just little by little soften those lines. And if you, one thing I learned in art school, and I have just kind of tried really hard to implement in my creating ever since, things in nature aren't just one color. Like this flower here, I kind of see a little bit of orange in it. And so, hey Lisa, hey Barb, I'm gonna take a little bit more of that pigment and I'm gonna mix it on my palette here. A little watery. So I see a little bit of orange, so I'm going to just take a little bit on my brush and just little by little add it in. And the dimension that that's gonna add to your flower is gonna be just incredible. Do you see how it's just little by little, it's gonna add like a roundness to your petals. I mean, I'm doing reds and oranges, but you could do anything. You could do blues and purples or whatever palette you chose to paint with today. Oh, my nose, I'm telling you. I've tried to go for my walks early in the morning, but holy tamale, the pollen is bad here in Arizona. I might have to excuse myself and go blow my nose again. Hey, Carrie. So I'm going to continue to add little bits of orange because that's just going to continue to add some interest, right? Remember to rest your hand on the table and you'll have much better brush control also. See, I'm feeling like I can really see I can see more dimension in those flowers. Just by adding this orange. Oh, golly, I'm so sorry, you guys. But I want you to notice that this flower, this petal here, is, are they really, Cindy? The Trinity dies are sold out. They're so amazing. I have not tried the Pink Fresh ones, but the Slimline, I've certainly created this card I created without a die, certainly. But, well, no, I did use one for the edge. But, you know, it's just a nice thing to add. You don't have to have it. Oh, what I was saying about this. Do you see how this petal is much lighter? That's okay. Because, you know, if you look at a flower, none of the petals are the exact same color. There's some that are light and some that are dark and some that are deeper in color and some that are lighter in color. But I'm telling you, the more you take time and just tap out that color, oh, you'll be so happy. I'm thinking I might even add a little bit of this kind of hot pink here. You see it? Little by little. Do you see? I'm just adding little tap, 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 little dabs of color. And you'll have much more interesting flowers. How's everybody doing? I just kind of get lost in the, Tony, we'll talk about the white lines in just a little bit. I promise. I promise, promise, promise. We will. I need to move my chair so I can see the comments and paint, because I just kind of get lost in my paint. So once this is on here and I let it kind of are a little bit soaked in, I'm going to come back with that brush and just tap it out. I'm going to clean it with my paint cloth and almost dry it so it's just a little barely damp. I'm just going to continue to tap that out. And you'll start to see the areas that, where it's just building. You'll kind of get so into it that you'll start to see it like kind of grow and like almost have a bend in the petal, and it's just magic. I just love it. And remember, keep turning that paper. Keep turning that paper. Joanne, my mom lives in Michigan, in Sault Ste. Marie, and they have snow too. Is that the craziest thing? I'm telling you, it's just the craziest thing. And here in Arizona, it is supposed to be 101 today. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back in on that leaf. Remember where I put the green and I let it soak in a little bit, and now I'm going to come back with my barely wet brush and I'm just going to continue to do that tap. And then pull out that color. It's just a series of taps because that's just going to soften the line of color. Taking that. Those flowers are so pretty. Befitting the name Lucinda, I should say. The flowers, Barbara, are from my art printables that you can get at my website and Corbiere-Scott-designs.com. And if you go there, Barbara, I think you're on my mailing list. If not, please send me your email. Whoops, there we go. Please send me your email and I will get you on the email list. But through Monday, I am offering a promo code, capital NDS. Just a second. NDS 2020, and you will get, when you're checking out, I believe, if you enter this promo code, you'll get the Artist in Residence printable for free. I am using my brush, Miss Linda, is the Connoisseur number 6. I really like a round brush, and I really like the Connoisseurs. They hold their bristles nice. They have a good snap. Remember, I think we talked about this last week. When you're looking at watercolor brushes, let's see if I have one that's, yeah. I don't have one that's, so this number 6 has a tighter snap. Do you see how it's, right? This number 10 doesn't have as tight a snap. It's not as loose as some, but here's why. The looser the snap, the more water it will hold. So you'll have more, oh, sorry, Lucinda, you're right. NSD 2020. National Scrapbook Day 2020. Thank you, Lucinda. Like I said, the less snap it has and the bigger the bristles are, like, you know, do you see the difference? The more water it will hold. Hi, Alicia. So think about that. Like if you want to do if you wanted to do a washy background, right? You want something that has bigger bristles and less snap. And that will make easier work of a washy background. I haven't figured out what I want to do on that background yet, but I think, so I like all of the connoisseurs. I like, and the, who knows, Keely? You know my brain. I do like all of the connoisseurs. I have the 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then I have the 10 in this one from, it's from Princeton, but stamp, what is it, Lucinda? Stamptastic, I think. This is just a really nice round brush. I also really like the Zen brushes from Royal and Langnickel. Do you see, this has a much looser snap. There's not much snap in it at all. And I like the, silver, black, no, velvet, what is it? Hello, Oklahoma City, Vicky. I like the, it's black velvet, silver. I don't know. I have a whole bunch of them. Anyway. But you know, I don't usually spend more than $5 on a, there you go. Silver black velvet. Thank you, Lauren. I don't spend more than, between, the most I would spend on a paintbrush is $10, and that's a rare occasion. Usually $5 or less. Let's see. So, what time are we? Are we, about, oh my gosh, we went 45 minutes already. Yikes, how did that happen? Okay, so now we're going to, I was going to talk to you about this technique and the colored pencil. Would you rather do colored pencil next week, or are you okay to go a little bit long today? You tell me. I can do either or. Because I was going to show you two techniques today, the watercolor and then the colored pencil. But we can leave colored pencil for next week if you'd like. Okay, Stephanie Prince. Okay, so on this, so this is the technique I want to continue with for this. So this, see these dots of white or of light? I did that with, you can do it one of a couple ways. So you can just dip the end of your paintbrush in your water, and it doesn't matter if it's filthy paint water, because we're just going to come in and we're just going to dot, right? Because this is just going to add, like, again, just another level, good Lord, of, whoops, that one was too wet, of dimension. I also dug this. Do you remember these old crafters? It was a stylus for metal embossing. Remember embossing through the, like, what did they call that? Was it heat embossing? dry embossing through those metal stencils. Oy. Anyway, if you know me, you know I don't throw away a good tool. So I also use this end and this end for dabbing water, right? So we're just gonna let that sit, right? So once you put your water on there, just let it sit and let that water soak in. So if you need to, if you're like a person like me who can't stand to let stuff just sit there, you are tempted to touch it, set it aside. So now I can do the, I can talk to you about the colored pencil stuff. Here are my colored pencil rules. Not rules, because you know, I'm always looking for a new technique. But this is how I have perfected my colored pencil coloring. I very, very rarely use Gamsol or odorless mineral spirits because I like to blend with just the colored pencil, and that's what I want to show you today. If you just have colored pencils, you can blend beautifully. So here's my colored pencil coloring. Shadow is always opposite of the light source. So think about that your light source maybe is from the left, then your shadow is always on the right, right? But it's also, I know Keely, it's magical, but I'm gonna show you a magical way to do it with just your colored pencils. Start light and build color slowly. That's kind of my mantra with any medium, but especially with colored pencils. I'm going to show you the swirly circle blend. The sharpener is your friend because a sharp colored pencil is for crisp lines. A round colored pencil is for blending bliss. Don't drop your colored pencils or your lead will break. And then every time you sharpen it, it's just going to break off because if you break the lead goes from here to here. If you drop your colored pencil, it's going to break there, 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 there. Lucinda says that you can put them in the microwave for a couple of seconds and that might meld them together again. I think that would really only work with Prismacolor because Prismacolor has such high wax content. So I'm going to take another Lucinda. Okay, so this I printed on, I believe, Hammermill. So I'm going to move my paints aside and bring over my cans of colored pencils. And we're going to color. These colors just happen to be in the front. So I like to pick a color. So you see I have all the colors of colored pencils, all the colors and all the kinds. I have Crayola up to Prismacolors, up to Derwent, up to Polychromos. I have everything. I have watercolor ones, I have whatever. I have some chalk ones, whatever. You know what? I like what I like. So you start with your lightest color, and then you're just going to see, I am barely touching that substrate. And do you see how I'm coloring? Do I need to get closer, do you think? I think that might be the closest I can get. There. I'm coloring in like a kind of a circular motion, right? And even though it looks like I have a little overlap there, I promise we'll be able to color it out. So your light source, think about, so with these, maybe your light source is right above. Maybe your light source is to the left or the right, whatever. Think about, but on something dimensional like a flower, you're going to have multiple light sources, right? Because there's like bends and folds and all those things. So when you're coloring with colored pencils, I'm just going to do this one petal here. On something like a flower, just think about your light source coming from above, because you're going to get too bogged down in the weeds of okay, so you can start. So now that I have that all the way colored, can I turn the camera down a little bit more like this? Let's see. Is it making everybody dizzy and sick for me to move the camera? Is that better? There, better? Okay. So now, remember, just like when we were painting, think about where the natural dark spots are on a flower. So down here, where I've done some of the work for you, think about that, where that pointillism is. You're gonna start, you're not really pressing harder, you're just going over it again, right? But you're barely, this is a long process, Lucinda. My Lucinda is she wants to get it done quick, but she just needs to learn to just kind of get into the zen of the art, right? So think about, don't go right to the edge with your color. If you just create this barely darker area right there, you're already creating some rounded edges, right? Shush up, Keely. You just need to take your time with your art, right? So that was light aqua. Now what's this one? That's light aqua too. Of course, I must have really liked it. Aquamarine. Okay, so now we're going to come in with aquamarine. And I'm telling you, the way to blend is just these barely, let's see. Watch. So I'm just doing circle, 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 circle. Does this help? Can you see that? Do you understand my logic better? But look at, I'm filling in that circle. I'm filling in that circle. But I'm having them all kind of overlap each other. And then maybe I'm having my circles get bigger. And then maybe I'm going to turn it sideways and do circles this way. It's just layers and layers and layers of color. So I'm doing, so this is how I did that edge, remember, right here? I'm just going to just kind of, it's not darker, it's just, I'm just going over it many times, not pushing harder, I should say. And then I'm going to come in with a darker color, and I'm just going to really lightly on the side of it, and then that's the key, is barely any pressure. And I'm just working it into that next color. And then I'm going to go back with this color, and I'm just going to barely work that into the base color. And do you see that fabulous blend? Do you see that? Gorgeousness. Gorgeousness. Gorgeous, Mrs. H. Does anybody remember what show that's from? Aquamarine. What did I get? What was the first one I used? Light aqua. Okay, so we're going to come in with, it was heart to heart, by the way. No one's talking to me. Okay, so now I'm coming in with the aquamarine, which is a shade darker than light aqua, right? So I'm just going to come in and just go next to that line that I colored with. And do you see how this is, it's almost like, it's like a cloud sort of next to here. So for blending purposes, you really want your, yes, Barbara, it was heart to heart. Hazel, whatever, Keely. The key is barely touching a super light touch with your pencils, right? So if you have a super light touch, you can blend out almost anything. And I will say that Prismacolors, because they're so waxy, they are, I think their blendability is premium. It's really easy to blend. So like right next to that black line, I'm doing a nice dark line. But again, I am barely touching the pencil to the paper. Let's see, what did you say? How do you know how far to extend the blending without losing the shape of the petal? I don't, I work nice and slow, Chris, and I will say that I take breaks so that I keep watching. I don't, I'm not going to blend this entire, you know, the blendy parts for me are the places where it's naturally dark, right? Ooh, Lynn, what did they say? What did they say about their dad? Do they suspect him? And do you notice by leaving that whitish edge, which isn't really white, it's this lightest color. By leaving that lightest edge that goes right into white, you've already created a little bit of dimension. Let's see. My hand's making a shadow. And I'm coming in with that circle-y blending. There. Oh, Allison, give those colored pencils a try. I find them fabulous. So there's my blendy petal. I wanted to show you, I have a couple of, let's see. This I did all in colored pencils. And I came in with my gel pen. It's on this table somewhere. My gel pen, and did some highlights. As you can see, right? But do you see how the gel pen sometimes takes on the, by just adding a gel pen to the center of, not even the center, they're kind of off-centered, of these circles that I created in the center of this flower, it adds like a whole new dimension, right? And sometimes you can add gel pen in such a way that it's bold, or you can like, again, I barely touch my page. But where are we on time? Oh, okay. my favorite gel pen is Uniball Signo White. What was it? Watercolor pencils or regular colored pencils? Regular or watercolor. It doesn't matter. Color's color to me. And I don't know that there's a size on here, Daphne. It's just the, oh, this one's broad. You can buy broad, you can buy fine. But what I wanted to show you today is, where's my thin brush? So what I did here is I used you need to invest in this. It's like about 10 bucks, but I'm telling you right this minute, you'll be so happy. Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. And here's why it's so fabulous. P.H. Martin's, number one, it's a small company out of Oceanside, California, so we want to support them. And number two, whatever your color underneath, it literally won't bleed through. So what I did, so remember I had those the light spots, right, from the water, and I just let that dry. And then I take and this will last you forever and a day, this little jar of bleed proof white. I took that same, so you could take a toothpick, you could take whatever, a brush, if you had like a zero round brush. But for today, I'm gonna just use this stylus. Because I just take it from the cap, right? You're just gonna tap it into the paint that's in the cap, and then you're gonna tap a dot. And it will not pull up the color underneath. Like sometimes gel pens pull up the color from underneath. I've even had Posca pens do the same, and that's a paint. But for these, this is all I did. I made a dot and then I pulled it up. Let it dry too much, sorry. I just got chatty, imagine. And I pulled it up and I pulled it down to the side. And then, so you can do this, right? And again, super light touch. I come back and I do just like a couple of little dots, like barely touching it, so that it's kind of anchored somehow. It looks like I need some dots up here. Close that, please. What do you want me to close? This? Is that what you were talking about, Linda? So remember, if you've taken this class, I would love for you now to join my private Facebook group, which is Let's Get Artsy with Anne. Please be sure to answer all 3 questions, because one of the questions is that I ask you for your email. I try really hard to send short and sweet emails, but that's how you get closer. There's that. Good. You tell me if it's, I don't know, is it in focus or... that's how you got the promo code is to be on my email list. So please, since if you're brand new here today, or if you haven't made the leap, come on over to our Let's Get Artsy with Anne private Facebook group, because there's so much fun and cool, inspirational work from all of the other people here that it is, I'm telling you, you won't be sorry. Awesome. So then I'll show you this one. How's that? I wanted to replicate how I saw all of the sidewalk art, the chalk art that has been filling our nation's sidewalks and inspiring everyone and encouraging everyone. You know what, Tony, I paint the edge first and then fill in. So that's, if you just go along the edge first, then it's almost like, it's like when you do those cookies that are flooded with frosting, they always put like a barrier edge. Same thing with paint. Just come to the edge and make a barrier of paint and then fill in. And that should help with your edges. But if you look closely, look, it's hand painted, Tony. It's not. A machine didn't do it. I did. You know what I mean? This isn't from Hallmark. You want it to look like you made it, especially for that person. And the 3, on my art printables, you'll notice that I tried to create, I created it just for card makers. So there's a slimline, there's an A2, there's a piece of independent art, and then there's always at least 2 sentiments. So I hope that you'll continue to create and paint. And I know Lana, I'm hoping, hey Jackie, I'm hoping that I don't get kicked off. It doesn't, Facebook doesn't kick me off. Last time that happened. I usually play Elton John, Jackie. So I'm going to come back in here and add a little bit of the Dr. Martens. Oh, I was going to show you. So if you take paper towel over those wet areas, remember where we put the circles of water? It's going to add just like some really subtle dimensional areas. So we could put this white inside of these dots if we wanted. Inside of some of these dots. I hope that helps. Jackie Rattay Jack, Marquardt, and I went to our very first concert together with my Uncle Bill. Do you remember that, Jack? Elton John. Our tickets were $8.50. Boy, Those were the days. Those were the days. Okay, I think I am running out of battery, so I guess it's time to sign off. I'm so glad you joined me today. Please join me again next week, and we will make some art again. We will get artsy. I just adore you all. Thank you so much for keeping me engaged in the art world. I'll see you next week.